That dial. This is the Fly Mackey Show. I'm your host, Fly Mackey. My hair is a mess tonight. It's a mess. I braided it though. See that? I got it good and braided. Anyway, I'm gonna shave here. Sorry for the shirt and all that stuff, but it is what it is. Which camera are we on today? We on this one or we on that one? We're on this one right here. Okay. Hi, Texas. I just seen me come on TV. Isn't that crazy? Corpus Christi, Houston, College Station, Beaumont, Texas, and Lake Charles, Louisiana. And welcome. See you later, Aaron. The guys are going home. Make sure you lock up real good. You too. Heading home for the night. And welcome, Tallahassee, Florida. Oh boy, I met a young guy today from Circle K. And he was, he's a sales manager there, one of the regional sales manager. Anyway, he came up before I left. I was getting some gas in the company truck. And he gave me a good speech. And he was really kind. And it was a really good talk that he gave. And then he gave me a big old Circle K cup. And so anyway, yeah, sign up for those points and stuff. Always like the airline miles for the credit cards and stuff like that. Anytime you can get points somewhere and you're buying, by the way, just to let you know how it works. And this is why they're able to do all this. Hold on a second. Don't go nowhere. You got these companies, right? You got these companies and here like BlackRock. We'll use BlackRock because they own 88% of the Fortune 500 companies here. 88% of all of them. Okay, and let's just say this is the way big business works. It starts at the top like this, like that, and in between. So you've got a handful of big companies like BlackRock that are at the very top. A handful. There's like 13 families or so. Just a handful of them. All Jews. I love the Jews. I'm Jewish by adoption. My mother, Erna Mae Galt. Once you're a Jew, you're always a Jew. Good, bad, or in between. I don't know what that means. All I know is that my mother was Jewish. I was adopted when I was 3 by Erna Mae Galt and John Aloysius Mackey. And when the mother is Jewish, you get adopted into the Jewish family. And I had no success. They say all the Jews are rich. Well, I know some that are pretty poor. But I can say that they have the capacity to earn money. Okay. Anyway, so I got off track there. Anyway, you have a group of families at the very top. And then as it goes down, that's what it looks like. And then down here, there's like, the layers get thinner. But this section up here, there's like 100 or so. This one right here, there's like 300. And then this one's like 1,000, give or take. This is kind of how it's split up. And then you got, several hundred, like thousands here, like 5,000, let's just say. These aren't the exact numbers, but I'm just giving you some examples here. And then this runs into the tens of thousands, and these runs into once again hundreds of thousands, and then million. And this how it is, but it's all controlled and it all goes down. And those who are entrepreneurs are the very lowest ring down here in the ownership. And then everyone else is right in here. Everyone else gets to be right here. This is the base. This is where most are. Most are here. Most are here. And most are here. You know, starts at the top. And by the way, it's just, this isn't a good representation, but at the very top, you have a few, like 13. These families that have been around, you know, for thousands of years. You know, like the Prince of Liechtenstein, who can trace their roots back, you know, over 500 years. And there's other families that they trace their roots back for thousands and thousands of years. And so why am I telling you this? Because you have to know where you're at. And you have all these companies out here, and most of us don't take advantage of it at all. Most of us don't take advantage of it. But you have all these companies here, and then they're all you have the one big company out here who owns it all, and then you have all these other companies like that, little ones to big ones, little ones to big ones, and they all link up to here. And here's all the consumers right here. But you got the big one. So the big ones, the big companies, they sponsor they own it all. So when you buy from one of these other companies, this is why you're able to get a point here and points there and discounts here and discounts there. You know, most people don't realize this, but you can go shoot coupon shopping for food. Your food should be like cheap, like nothing. But hardly anybody does coupon shopping anymore. You got the big companies, and all they want you to do is buy from this company to that company to this company. And when you do, then they give you discounts. Why? Because it all comes back to them. It all comes back to the big boy. Whether you buy from this one or this one or this one, they can give you 50% off, 50% discount at this store right here because they own them. Because they own them all. They own every one of these. So they can give it to you for free if they wanted. They give it to you for 90% off or whatever. Why? Because they're not losing any money, because this guy owns it all. These guys own it all. These guys right here own 32% of the world. These guys own 32% of the world. Them and State Street. That's not very good. Oh boy, I screwed that up. All I had to do was add a T in there. I made it look awful. State Street and Vanguard. These three companies here, 1, 2, 3, they own like half the world. To get together, they own about 32, 33% of the entire world. In any given day, 25% of all currency that trades hands on a daily basis is owned by BlackRock. Think about that for a second. And any given day in the entire world, just drive down the freeway and see how big it is. On any given day in the entire world, BlackRock owns 25% of all the currency that's trading hands. Is that amazing or what? 30-year-old company. They started from nothing. Guy who didn't even, he wanted to, that's, be careful who you fire. Larry Fink got fired, wanted to start his own gig. Started calling people around, said, hey, one guy said, I'm going to give you $5 million. You can go read the story. I'm giving you the general overview. And he says, yeah, I'll be ready to start first of the year in about a year. And he said, no, you're going to start this week. And he said, well, I'm not ready. He goes, I'm giving you $5 million. You're starting this week. And he did. And he's a smart SOB, I'm telling you. Sorry, Larry, for calling you an SOB, but you get my point, right? He is one smart cat. And then there you go. And now they own about 32% of the world between BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. And State Street and Vanguard are, this is just too big to even understand. It's too big to even understand the hundreds of trillions of dollars. Hundreds of trillions of dollars that they either own or under management. Hundreds of trillions of dollars. I know the lighting, they got the lighting mood a little differently. They got it shining on the board. You can see it though. Talking about velocity banking. This is what the interest rate to buy houses was 30 years ago, 20 years ago today. Or excuse me, yeah, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and then today. Anyway, that's the average across the board. Eggs were on average, they're $5.25 a dozen across the country, and there's some places it's $7 a dozen. A dozen. By the way, this show is sponsored by, where are you? This show is sponsored by A1 Roofing Solutions. They're out of Phoenix. Now, we're in Texas, but they're coming to a place near you in Texas as well. A1 Roofing Solutions, licensed, bonded, insured. These guys do what's called a manufactured install on the shingle. These guys are good, and you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for, and they do great work. All right, sponsors of the show, A1 Roofing. And I want to get into the Latino. I got some Mexican in me. I got it all. Anyway, we're having a little bit of fun tonight. My shirt looks awful. This used to be one of my favorite t-shirts, but for some reason, the collar just went crazy on me. I got underwear older than most of you people watching this show tonight, okay? Anyway, I met a great young man, and we were talking about 401ks. I like to lay things out there so you can see exactly what's going on here And just take things kind of easy. I'm going to show you how to price out. I'm going to show you how to price out a construction job when somebody comes to your house. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk a little bit about this gal here and how we taught her velocity banking. Now, you guys who have 401ks, you know, 401ks were not meant for retirement. The origination of 401ks and what they're used for was to borrow against, or let's just say borrow from. That's easier to understand. It was made to borrow from. Can't see that. The lighting's on. That's too much. Let me see here what it looks like on TV. I'm looking at the monitor here. Bada bing, bada bang, bada bing, bang. I need to do my hair. Thank you, creator of the universe. You know, I would rather believe in something and then get to the next world and realize that it wasn't true than to not believe in something and get to the other world and goes, dang it. I had no faith in anything and I missed out. I would rather have some faith in something. Oh, wow, that's quite a delay. That's quite a delay. There it is. I see it. It's about a 7-second delay. I'd rather believe in something and find out that it's not true in the next world than to not believe and find out that I was wrong, you know, that I should have had some faith in something. And my dad had strong faith. My mother didn't have some strong faith, but she had good work ethic, and she was a big believer in creating your own destiny and creating your own luck. She was a big believer in that. And she would always say, you know, a well-prepared mind always falls on the side of luck. So you create your own luck by being prepared and being ready. So I miss my mama, man. I tell you this, those of you who are watching, and thanks for being loyal, you guys. Find the one you love, sing to their eyes, tell them you love them. You may not get a second chance. Okay? Yeah, we live in a great world here. But 401ks were meant to borrow from. And that's why employers would match you. Used to, they'd match you like 8-10%, which was really cool. Now it's a lot lower, and because their margins are different, I'm guessing. I don't know. But companies used to match quite a bit. I think the most you could put in your 401k is like 16% of your, and I don't know what it is today, but I think at the most you could put in about 16% of your income, and then employers would match it. Now, as you continue to put it in, it compounds, and the reason they would match it is so that their employees would stay with them, and so there wouldn't be such a turnover. And then when the employees needed a house or a car or something, they needed a new roof on the house, or they needed to do some remodeling because they had more babies, then they could borrow from their 401k. That's what it's meant for. And most of you leave that money sitting for 10, 20, 30 years. You have no clue what you're doing with it. It's not because you're stupid. Some of it is because you're lazy, though, because you don't even know what it's for. And a 401k, when you borrow and then you pay it back pay back with interest. With interest. You get the interest. If you don't, the company gets interest. Now let me go over this, okay? So when you borrow from your 401k, the company that manages the 401k loans you the money out of there, out of your 401k. And when you pay it back, let's say you pay it back, you put it back, let's say you put it on auto pay. Auto pay. And it's $300 a month, just like you would pay back the finance company. On auto pay, $300 a month. And it takes you 3 years to pay it back. For 3 years. And there's $5,000, let's say, dollars worth of interest. All that $5,000 interest goes right back up in here into that 401k. So not only do you pay back your whatever you owed, but you get the interest too. 401ks were made to borrow from, not for it to sit there. It was never made for retirement, ever. It was made to use. It's also made to pay it back, not to take the money out. Lots of people steal from them. Imagine this. You own a store and you steal from, you don't want people coming in and stealing from your store. So why would you steal? And a lot of people do that. They put money in a savings account. And then they go steal it. Well, it's my money. No, it's not your money anymore. Once you put it over here and designate that for a new car or a trip or buying something for sporting goods for your kids or something like that, your kids are going to the prom and you decide I'm going to spend it. So it's not there when they get ready to do what they need to do. That's called stealing. Once you set it aside, it's no longer yours. You have to understand that. And those of you who don't understand that, that's why you're broke. That's why you don't have money. That's why you have credit issues. That's why your house looks like crap. Because you don't keep it up. Because all that money you keep putting away, you keep spending it. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm telling the harsh reality. And if you don't like it, that's your problem. That's because you did this to yourself. I didn't do it. I'm pointing it out and I don't even know you. I don't even know you. But if you're getting offended, good. Do something about it. Because there's no reason for that. We're going to spend the money anyway, but why not spend it on us? And when you learn how to take all of this and become your own banker, then you can borrow back from yourself. You borrow from yourself and you pay yourself back. I know a guy who's been banking, his own banker for 30 years. He's cut out the banks for 30 years. Is it hard to do? Yes. It's hard to get off the grid. It's hard because we don't believe a couple of things. Number one, we don't believe we deserve it. We don't believe we can do it. We don't think we're smart enough. We don't think it's legal. We think it's too hard. I could go just keep going. But there's no truth in any of that. You can become your own banker. And when you learn the velocity banking strategies, and then you learn how to do the infinite banking concepts, then your life will change. Okay, hold on a second. Oops. Sorry. We're not gonna skip the next hour. Bam, look at that right there. Yeah, I'm getting older, guys. I was young and fresh and handsome. Now look at me. Old. I'm getting old. I know I'm getting old. The freshness has gone away. It doesn't stick around. It doesn't stick around. We get old. My hair don't look good today. It's shining on my hair. It don't look good. Thank you, baby Jesus. Let's look at Twitter. But before we go there, listen, I just want you to, so you can see here where I'm talking about the 401k and borrowing from yourself. The whole point of 401ks was never made for your retirement. It was made to use for when you needed it, so that you wouldn't have to tell your employer, I need to quit. I need a better job. Well, you have a great job and a 401k that we're contributing to. You know how many people that have left their employers, and the employers owe you one thing, that's a paycheck. They owe you nothing but a paycheck. Okay. You come to work, they provide a place for you to work, you do the work, they pay you. And those that do the participate in these 401ks, the 401ks typically lose money every year. Did you know that? Imagine having something where you make, 6% to 60% a year on. Yeah, 6% to 60%. When you borrow money, and we can do a deal on it. Where it right here. Let's look at the loan calculator here. And let's say you borrow $140,000. And let's say it's at 7%, and you're going to borrow it for let's do 15 years. 15 years. What happened? Oh, I put it in the wrong section. For 15 years, that 140,000, you borrow $140,000 for 15 years at 7%, comes to 226,504. 226,504. Okay. And 86,504. And 86,504 is interest that you're going to pay on that $140,000. That's a little over 50% that you're going to pay. So imagine this. Imagine this being your own, you owning this. This is you. You own it. Let's say you own it. You own it. And every month your monthly payment is going to be $1,258 every month. Instead of paying back the finance company, instead of paying back, now this, those of you who have this in your 401ks, pay attention. Those of you, or any other line of credit, when you borrow from yourself, all this interest, as long as you pay this back, make those payments and pay this back, that $86,000 in interest goes to you. Yours. If you don't pay it back, let's say you borrow the $140,000 and you never pay it back. Well, number one, you lose the 140, but all the interest that they collect, they're taking from you. It goes to the other company, the managing company. Because they're getting their money back. But when you do pay it back, all this interest becomes yours. This is how folks who do the infinite banking strategies, who borrow from themselves to buy their own vehicles, or they borrow from themselves to buy houses, or send their kids to college, and just like you would pay back the bank, okay? Just like you'd pay the banks, you'd pay the banks faithfully, right? You'd pay them every month. You'd send them a check. Just like you'd pay the banks back faithfully, you pay yourself. Just like you'd pay the banks, you'd pay yourself. Here's the scenario right here, guys. Here's the scenario. You have 140,000. Let's say it's in your 401k. Now, Dave Ramsey's going to say you're stupid for doing this. What Dave Ramsey won't tell you is, in the position that he's at, there's a midsection there where he has to borrow money. He'll never tell you that, though. $140,000, 7% interest for 15 years. They just bought 2 vehicles for that. You bought one. The wife bought one, $70,000 piece vehicles. They paid off in 7 years. They give the banks an extra $86,000 when you do this. When you learn how to do this yourself, let's look at that real quick. Let's amateurize it. The interest, look at that. Every month you pay $816 in interest. Imagine, and this is profit to them, profit. You're paying back the loan here. You see this? You're paying back the loan, the principal, but every month they're making all this interest. Look at this, all this interest. Imagine paying yourself every month an extra $800. For 180 months, 15 years. Your last payment will be $7.30. You are You are 62 months in before the interest equals the principal. 62 months. Then it starts to catch up pretty fast and start going the other way. But once again, now if this was over 30 years, oh boy. But this is typically what people do when they borrow from themselves. They put it on a 15-year and they pay it off. Some people will pay it off faster. But this is what 401ks were meant for, to borrow from it so that you could gain wealth, so you don't have to go to your employer and say, I need to quit. I need a better job. Or you know, you're not paying me enough, or I need a second job. Why get a second job when you have money in your 401k? I with the customer this last week, and he's going, how stupid would I be to pull from my 401k? I said, not very. What do you mean? Well, because it was meant to. That's what the money's used for. Did you know when you pay it back that all that interest goes to you? He goes, yes, I did know that. So why would you borrow from the bank and pay the bank all that interest when you could borrow from yourself and pay yourself back? And he said, because that's my savings. That's my money. He still didn't get it. He still didn't get it. You're going to pay the bank, but you wouldn't pay yourself. This is a mind, by the way, this is not because he's stupid. We are trained this way. Our whole life, we're told that we have to do it this way. Our whole life, we're told we have to do it this way. Look, who's stupid enough to pay themselves the interest back? Look at the interest on this. I want you to look at this. Look how much interest is paid every single month when you borrow the money and pay it back to the banks. Imagine borrowing from your own 401k. Here's your monthly payment going back for 15 years. In 15 years, you're going to make an extra $86,000 that you would have paid to the banks. Instead, you pay it back to yourself. That's incredible. Look at all that interest, $86,000. If you used to borrow this from your own, no, we're not giving financial advice. Anybody can talk about this stuff. Anybody can do this. We're not being advisors. We're telling you you can do this because you can. Anybody can. This is not advice. We're just telling you what you're able to do. Anybody can do this. When you borrow from yourself, pay yourself back. I don't know how many times I've talked to somebody who says, well, I don't have to pay myself back. It was my money and I saved it. Well, how stupid is that? Why would you not pay yourself back in all this interest that you would have paid somebody? Well, because it's cash I paid for. It's cash, and cash is king. No, cash is trash unless you're rich. Cash is trash unless you're rich. Then you want to use some cash because you can. But for the rest of us, all our cash should go into our credit accounts so that we can borrow more from our credit accounts and the banks will give us more. And when you learn how to borrow from yourself, all that money you borrow from yourself, the more you borrow from yourself, the more interest you make. And it compounds like on your whole life insurance. Imagine this. Look at this. Imagine this is your whole life insurance. Whole life, not your 401k. 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 Or your whole life. This is your bank. The whole life insurance policy is your bank. It's the same as owning a bank. 401k is similar to owning a bank. This is really how it is. And why? Because you make 6% interest, give or take, compounded on this a year. It's been paying out for 200 years. It's never not paid out 6% in over 100 years, 150 years, I think it is. 6%. And just like this, when you borrow from yourself, that 86,000 you put back in here. Now you have all this 86,000 on top of the 140, and you have 6%, and all that's compounding every year. So every time you borrow from your bank and you pay yourself back, and you're paying yourself back with all that interest payments, and it's compounding, this is how you get wealthy. And it doesn't happen overnight. This is not a get-rich-quick program. This is a gain wealth program over the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Then you die off, and then you have a manager that comes in. Hopefully it's one of your kids who can manage and keep doing this. If they can't, then you can't have them run this. If they're stupid idiots and they can't do this, if they can't manage themselves, then they can't manage this. I got a fellow that I did some business with. He was in his 90s, and he had several boys who were, my age, in their 50s and 60s. And, he swore up and down. He said, I'm not giving my company, when I die, my kids aren't getting my company. They're trust fund babies, but these kids are never getting my business because they'll ruin it in a year. Well, at his 92nd, going on to his 93rd birthday, what did they do? They committed him, and then they took over his business. He had a better mind than anybody. They took over his business, and within a year, they had sold off all his radio stations, all his TV stations. They sold the TV stations for half price. Because they're idiots. And that entire wealth that he worked on for 60-something years went away. They'd spend it all up. Their entire business they blew in 1 year. They went into the marijuana business. And within 1 year, they got crushed in the marijuana business. They went from guys who were trust fund babies who never worked in a day of their life to being broke. So you can't leave your business to kids like this. You can't. When you set yourself up to be your own banker, then you may have to have somebody else manage it for you. But you can't leave it. Like, when I die, my kids are getting all my money in my house. Why would you do something that stupid when they can't even manage their own finances? Because they're my kids. That's what I'm supposed to do. No, that's not what you're supposed to do. But if that's what you think is for, 90+% of every kid that inherits a house after death sell the house. They don't want it. They don't want your house. They don't want your property. They don't want none of it. They want to sell it, and they want the money. Then they start buying stuff, and, they get smart, get a younger girlfriend, or you get my point, right? Anyway, this is not to beat people up tonight, but I just want you to know, when you get in charge of your own money, things change for you, and they change in a big way. Let's take a look a bit what's in the news here on Twitter. Yes, she is what? I had no idea what that means. Don't know what that was about.
We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and
they don't have babies because you're aborting them, you idiot. And now they're bringing in rapists and murderers and the insane from all these other countries. Yeah, that's how you do it. Bring in the rapists and the murderers. Trump was right.
Is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to.
This guy's a pedophile.
America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants.
Idiot. Well, some of the stuff out here, I scream and yell a lot, but I have fun doing it. Yeah, have you seen this one? This is really cool. $35 without children. Congratulations.
That just from a political standpoint, it was a surprising pick to me.
Can you talk to me kind of your thoughts on the on Joe Biden naming Kamala Harris as his running mate?
Her views are so radical that just from a political standpoint, it was a surprising pick to me. So I think in addition to the fact that she would be a terrible vice president policy-wise for the country, it tells us something about Joe Biden. And it's very clear. She is a radical liberal. She's somebody that has said we ought to spend $32 trillion on Medicare for all. If you look at her record as well in California, she did, in fact, essentially ban gun sales with executive action. And she threatened during the primaries to do the same thing if she's elected, if she were elected here. So I do think the American people are going to take a look at this record and realize she is very much a radical liberal. Every single day, the Democrats tell us what they would do in, as Kamala Harris put it yesterday, quote, a Harris administration with Joe Biden. They would defund our police, dismantle our freedom, destroy our history, and abandon our founding values. And every day, you see the damage of years of Democrat policies. The president has said Vice President Harris is in charge of the border. Vice President Harris said she was not in charge of the border. Nobody seems to be in charge. She hasn't been there. And we have a humanitarian and national security.
The kiss cam.
Keep it.
Look at that. They're not used to wearing shoes over there in some of these countries.
Keep it.
I got a lot of pleasure out of that. Ouch. Why would you do that? Who's stupid enough to hit a kid in a wheelchair? What a dummy. For the language, turn it down. That ain't right, man. I'm telling you, I don't care what this guy in the wheelchair did. No. Who raised this kid to hit on someone like that? That's wrong. Okay, no.
Doing? You, without my consent, because I didn't know about this emergency meeting until someone just told me that it was live, you're trying to do all the talking on the internet without me so you can hog all the jail and get all the glory. You're trying to out-jail me by doing the internet talking by yourself. It's the Jews, Keir Starmer's a faggot, niggers.
Wow.
Make sure you
These guys are insane. By the way, you know, they're half black. They can say the N-word. These guys are half black. Their dad was black. Can say it all they want.
不男不女，穿个裙子，赶快走！不走带你们来走，你赶快给我走！
Yeah, they
带
don't
你们
want
来走，我
to
告诉你，
kind of.
大男人穿个裙子在那公共场所，你觉得你很正能量啊？啊，大街大巷，不男不女，穿个裙子，赶快走！不走带你们来走，你赶快给我走！带你们来走，我告诉你，大男人穿个裙子在那公共场所，你觉得你很正能量啊？ 啊！大街大巷，不男不女，穿个裙子，赶快走！不走带你们来走，你赶快给我走！
Get arrested. This girl has an amazing talent. We're going to do some velocity banking. Guys, we're going to do some velocity banking here in just a minute. I don't get it, but okay. Yes, you should. No, you can't leave nothing to the Secret Service. They're in on it. Yeah. Fatty Willis, Fatty, not Fanny, but Fatty. Do you see that dress? That was disgusting. What a pig. She got a lot of balls too, guys. You don't want to be up against her because she's tough. Ooh, look at all that money. I'm afraid to play the sound on this.
State has launched a new vicious attack on myself and InfoWars. They're attempting to seize control of operations October 17th because they know coming up on November 13th, InfoWars is going up for sale at auction, and they're worried patriots are going to buy it, and the operation will continue on. They are pulling out all the stops, have introduced a lawsuit, the Democrat Party back group, in Travis County with judges they think they control to literally appoint a receiver over me personally and literally take control of my entire life, which is never going to happen, and I'll never be silenced. They openly admit this is being done to silence me ahead of the election. Now, it's important to add that my lawyers have looked at this as a total violation of the 13th Amendment. I'm still on appeal. There are so many angles to this. The way they're doing it is just completely unconstitutional on its face, but they believe that they own these courts. But for me, this is a sign of how desperate the system is. The system's tried to kill Trump. They've imploded our borders. They're involved in giant human trafficking. They're starting World War III. FEMA's blocking aid. That's confirmed in the 4 battleground states affected by the terrible hurricane. They know that most of the rural areas don't even have power still and won't be able to have an election if they keep blocking it. I mean, they're just out in the open. They're not even trying to hide any of this. And remember 6 years ago when they came after me and deplatformed me first, I said, all of you will be next. And it ended up being millions of Americans and others, and then even President Trump. So I need folks to rally to this fact. You need to go to Real Alex Jones and read the filings I posted. They've also filed in federal court to say they own my name and to say that they own Real Alex Jones on X, which, again, all the precedents say they can't do. But they're still trying. And if I don't fight them in court, federal and at the local level, they will get rulings and use those precedents on you. This is lawfare. So please support me. Please get this video out to everybody. Please get other talk show hosts talking about it, because this is going to affect everybody. I'm always the canary in the coal mine. I'm always the test case. And please visit our legal
And there you go. Let's talk a little velocity banking. This lady is so stupid.
FEMA providing $750
$750?
for folks who need immediate needs being met, such as food.
So $750 goes to these immigrants, or you have people coming across the border. They go to a site. They immediately become American citizens. Immediately, they sign up. They're here forever. They get their green card. Facts don't care about your feelings, those of you who don't believe this. They get credit cards or credit cards and debit cards with cash on it, places to live, cell phones. Yeah. And you got these idiots, pedophiles like that one senator who was talking earlier about Americans aren't making babies. That's because you're telling everybody to kill them. You want abortions. And we have to have these guys because Americans aren't making babies because we're killing them all. So you bring in the rapists, the pedophiles, the murderers, the criminals, millions of them from these other countries, millions. They literally have emptied their prisons and jails and sent them here. Yeah. These people need to be arrested. Kamala Harris, slob knobber. I'm not against
baby formula and the like.
This is what we do. This is what they do. And the key here, Rebecca, is also to make sure that the communities who
this
are
guy's a
potentially
communist.
impacted
He needs to
are
go to jail.
prepared
This
as
guy
well.
needs to be hung.
And it's not just
being
hurricanes and
a traitor.
wildfires, also extreme
You
heat,
hang traitors.
which certainly
He's
some
a
parts of
traitor
the
to
United
America.
States are already experiencing.
Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas sounding the alarm on FEMA funding right after the devastation of Hurricane Helene. Listen.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through.
They don't have the funds because they gave them to the illegal aliens.
The season.
Idiot. All right, I think I've seen enough. Well, he can't be because he's not part of the original group, and there was already a bunch of people who said who was there in the beginning. I don't even know how to look at it. It's 1 of 12, whatever that means. All right, guys, let's talk a little velocity banking tonight, okay? Velocity Banking. Hello. Is that cool or what? Okay. A HELOC or a line of credit. Okay. Okay. This and the line of credit is for $40,000. Okay. The bill on this roof over here is $31,000. Okay. Their income is $5,400, and their monthly bills are $2,700. Okay. That leaves That leaves $2,700. Okay. Left over. Okay. This is what's left at the end of the month. Typically, what these guys do is they go to, typically what they do is they put this money here. They deposit this into the checking account. And then they pay the bills from the checking account. So they deposit into the checking account. Ah, dang it. This is regular banking. You can do this strategy with 401ks. You can do it with your own lines of credit. But here, regular banking is you take a loan out for $40,000. 10 of it, you do whatever, go on a trip or whatever. You owe $31,000 for the roof, or you do whatever you want with that. Maybe you're buying extra stuff or paying some bills off, but you borrow $31,000 for, let's say, your home remodeling project. And every month, all the bills that you owe on this and all the other bills come out of your $5,400. You put it in your checking account and you pay all the bills out of your checking account. Let's see what the monthly payment on that. Oh, I'm going to run out of battery. Hold on a second. And we're going to run out of time. $40,000. Interest rate on home loans are high. They're about 11% on projects. At minimum, they run somewhere between 5 and 15 years. Let's say 7. Calculate that out. That turns that $30,000 project into 57, which means they're going to pay $17,531 in interest. So they're going to take that $31,000 and they're going to pay over 50% in interest to pay that off in 7 years. Okay? And they do it the old-fashioned way by depositing their money in the checking account and paying all their bills. What is the monthly bill on that? $684. $684. So out of the $2,700 in bills, their monthly bills, 684 of it, almost $700 is going to here. Now, if you amortize this out $366.67 is what they're going to pay in interest. And it goes down, but they're going to pay on average, if you divide that out, that's interesting. Let's divide that out and see. The lowest interest payment is $6.22. Their highest is $366.67, and you average that out over 84 payments. I have a loan where it's 7% interest over 84 months. The highest interest payment is $366.67. The last interest payment is $6.22. What's the average interest payment if you average them all out? $186. They're paying $186 a month average over the lifetime. So if you average it out from the first month to the 84th month, it averages $186. Okay. Now, and that's doing it the old-fashioned way. Now, let's say you use your line of credit. Your line of credit. Okay. Whether that's a credit card or whether that's a line of credit from the bank or a HELOC, it's a line of credit. And let's say it's for $32,000. And you buy and let's say this is at 26%. Who would be stupid enough to do that? Well, we all do. And let's say you borrow $31,000 of this, leaves you $1,000. Okay. Now let's play this out. We're gonna put in our pay. Goes in. That's $5,400. Okay. That brings that to $6,400 on the very first month. We're gonna borrow. This goes out the bills, which is $2,700. Now, what happens is on your minimum monthly payment, let's say you pay instead of paying the banks the $186 average a month for 84 months. Let's say you're going to pay yourself. I'm going to use a credit card, and I'm going to pay a $31,000 bill. It is 26% interest, but I'm going to pay every single month what is the minimum monthly payment? The interest is 26%. What is my minimum monthly payment? $620. So pretty close to what we say over here at 11% interest. Now, are you getting this? 11% interest, $684. When you amortize this out on a loan from the bank, see this? 11%. You amortize that out, $684. When you use a credit, $684 a month in interest. Or excuse me, that's your monthly payment. Monthly. That's your monthly payment, $684. On a credit card at 26%, your minimum monthly payment is $620. Okay? Now what happens is when you satisfy that payment by putting your entire check into that credit card, that payment goes away. And let's look and show you how this works. Hold on a second. Before I run out of time, I'm going to go back over here because I want to play this out. Edit. This is the, I'm on the 2200 hour on Friday. Edit playlist. This is Friday, 2200 hour. Okay. Now watch this. The interest on this is going to be $17,531, okay? And that's pretty close to what it would be over here too. The monthly payment, whether you use a credit card at 26% or 11% over here, you're still paying. That would be about your monthly bill. You see over here on the credit card, excuse me, here's the line of credit right here. Your line of credit is $684.90 a month. On a credit card, if you're going to use the credit card, your interest payment on the credit card is $620. So $684 line of credit. This is a credit card, $620. But what happens is when you pay a larger amount than that monthly bill, and you do it before the bill comes out, the invoice or the monthly bill that they send you, that $620 payment or that $684 payment goes away. All right. Now, and you actually gain that as cash flow. But without getting into all that, let's see what this looks like. That's 700. And then that makes it 5. That's $3,700 in cash flow month 1. You put in 5,400, which brings this to 80. This brings this to 0019, 9,100. You take out the 2,700, which comes to, let me use my calculator, okay? You guys just follow along with me. We're going to take this all the way to the end, okay? So 9,100 minus 2,700. And this is called velocity banking. That brings us to $6,400 onto this credit line in 2 months. Then you, once again, then you borrow the money. Here's your $6,400. Then you deposit, you deposit the $5,400. This brings us to $11,800. That's in. You borrow the $2,700, which brings us to $100. This brings us to $9,100. This is month number 3. You started with $1,000. You go to the next month, $5,400. Brings us to $500. This brings us to $14,000. You're going to pay the bills, which is $2,700. That brings $11,800. Okay, this is month number, that's 3. This is number 4, right? Take away, that's 3. This is 4 right here. This is month number 5. Put the money in, take the money out. This is month number 5 here. Now you're going to put the money in, $5,400. Okay, this brings us to 200. That's a 1. That's $17,200. You're going to borrow the money back, which is $2,700. Let's do the math on this. I'm going to do a couple of more months, and then I'm going to give you the entire strategy. Okay, so you have 17,200 minus 2,700. That brings it to $14,500. Okay, this is 6 months. You go from $1,000 to $14,500 cash flow that you can use anytime you want. Okay, this is why the difference, they've got $2,700 a month added up. That's what it comes to. So over the period, this is going to take, and I'll do the math on this. Let me put it into the computer here. We have our software. Let's put it into the software. So I'm going to use my credit. I'm going to look how fat I am. Card to pay a $31,000 bill. It is 26% interest. The interest rate on this is $620 a month. I want to use my velocity banking strategy to pay the $31,000 off. And I'm going to put my entire $5,400 paycheck into the credit card every month when I get paid. I'm going to borrow back the $2,700 in bills off the credit card. Using this strategy, how many months will it take me to pay off the credit card in full? Which is a total of $31,000 that I put on the card. The total max on the card is $32,000. So I had $1,000. Using this strategy, how much interest would I have paid and how much interest will I save using this strategy? How much interest would I have paid? And how much interest do I save using this strategy? So let's see what it says here. Ooh, that was fast. It's analyzing. It's going to take 14 months. That's a year and 2 months to pay this off. To pay in full. I'm going to pay a total of about $5,035.96 in interest. I'm going to save okay, how much interest would I have paid if I just paid the $620 a month minimum payment on that $31,000 bill for the credit card? And there we are. Okay. I ran my computers out. Can you believe that? Holy cow. Hold on a second. Okay. Whee! Can you believe that? I ran my cameras out. Look how fat I'm getting. I'm losing weight, by the way. So getting back to this right here. Using a credit card at 26%, I would have paid $36,000 over 7 years in interest. Okay. Using a regular bank loan at 7%, okay, I would have paid $17,531. Okay. Okay, in interest. 17,000 versus 36,000. When I use, so no matter what, when you use the velocity banking strategy, you're going to pay a total of about $5,000 in interest. So you're going to save $12,000 at the 7%. You're going to save $31,000. This is at 7%. This is at 26%. But whether you use this or this, either one, whether you use that bank loan or your credit cards, you're still only going to pay about $5,000. You're going to pay about $5,035 using the velocity banking strategy. Okay? No matter what, whether you use a line of credit at 7% or a credit card at 26%, it doesn't matter. When you use this strategy, because of the amount of money you put in versus the amount of money you take out, it's the difference, which is called the cash flow. That difference pays it off. So it doesn't matter what the interest rate is. It doesn't matter whether it's 7% or 26%. You're still only going to pay about $5,000 in interest. You're still going to pay interest. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter though which one. It's about the same amount of interest no matter what, because they're going to get their money, and that's okay. But you'll save yourself tens of thousands. Here you'll save about 12. Here you'll save about 31. Either case, you're still going to save yourself a ton of money. Except in this case here, you've got no extra income coming in. You're not borrowing any money except from yourself. And you get to pay it all back. So literally you get that $31,000 roof for about $5,000. Now you get a full line of credit when you're done. So whether you use a line of credit at 7% or a credit card at 26%, it doesn't matter. You're still going to pay about $5,000 when you use this strategy. Numbers don't lie. It is what it is, which is pretty amazing. Now imagine borrowing. You borrow from your 401k, or you borrow from your credit card. You're either borrowing from your line of credit, your credit card, 401k, or your insurance, or your own bank, your infinite banking concept or system, your infinite banking system. You're borrowing from one of these, 401k, from your own bank, credit card, or line of credit. You're still borrowing the money. But here's the great thing about it is you're borrowing from yourself. When you borrow from your 401k, all that interest goes back to you. Here, you have to pay some interest. Here, you're paying interest, but you get to save massive amounts of interest. When you borrow from your 401k, it all comes back to you, every single dime. When you borrow from your infinite banking system, not only can you're going to have to pay some interest back to the insurance company because they loaned it to you, but all those years of interest payments goes into your policy, and you get paid the 6% on it. So if you was to borrow from yourself, and let's say you borrowed at 7%, let's say you borrowed the money out of your bank, your infinite banking system, at 7%, and you had to pay $17,531 in payments, and you did that by making that $186 a month average payment for 7 years. So you pay yourself back in your policy that extra $17,000, but you're making 6% on average compounded. That's the way it works. Anybody can do it. You don't have to have a license to do this. It's your money. You can do this if you want. If you want to know about credit, go to smartmoneyculture.tv/credit, fill out the form. Here's another thing too. If you have business credit cards, and you need some liquidation, then reach out to us and tell us you have business credit cards and how much you have. I can't share other channels when I'm on using this camera here. I ran myself out of battery. Can you believe I did that? Anyway, it's a good picture. I like it. I like the picture. I think I could use the other camera too, but I like this picture. This is a good picture. Got a lot of glare. So in the next 15 minutes, what can we talk about? The banks want to see, they don't care whether you're 18 or 80. Now, the older you get, they're going to have a little bit of concern here, but they're not actually looking at your age. What they're looking at is your LLC, your EIN, and what does your profile look like. And so you can make yourself look attractive to the banks. And once again, they're a service-oriented business now. They're not really bankers anymore. It's a service. And almost everything is handled with a computer. So if you go into a bank and you talk to a banker, they're certainly nice enough people. They, their kids go to school with your kids. You go to church together. You see each other all the time. You know each other. You go to dinner. They're in the community, right? You know them really well. The thing is, though, that they don't have the authority, most of them, to give you any credit. So if you go in and you tell them, yeah, I need some business credit, and they go, well, let's fill out the form. They're going online and they're filling out a form that you could have filled out yourself at home. They're not doing anything special, no internal. They don't have any internal applications that they're doing for you. They're going online to the links that they have. So when someone says, yeah, I'd like a Visa, MasterCard, their bank is associated with certain Visas or MasterCards, and they pull up those links that they're associated with, and they just fill it out for you. That's all they're doing. But they don't have any authority. They're not doing anything special that's helping you, okay? And that link doesn't know the difference between that banker and you at your house. Then give me another 10 or 15 minutes to get out of the office. Anyway, I have an incredible staff, and we picked up Tallahassee, Florida, yesterday or a couple of days ago. So welcome Channel 29 in Tallahassee. It's our newest channel. We're so proud of, the Winsong Communication family, Chuck Johnson, Dow and his dad. I mean, this is great people to be associated with. We're really excited to be a part of the family and their network. We're growing our own network. We're looking to get, by the way, so in December, January, we should be in Miami. In July, we should be in Dallas, Austin as well. Hopefully this next month we'll be here in Phoenix. We're looking to get a couple of channels, maybe buy some stations. And so that's what we're looking to do. And hopefully that comes to fruition. So we're really excited about that. Yeah. And that's about it. So we're really excited to see what happens out of that. And on top of that, really excited to just see some of the business relationships that we're building. We're going to sell some advertisement this year. We've never sold any advertisement on our network, but we are in Houston, which is the 6th largest direct marketing area in the United States. The 6th largest DMA in all of the United States. Now in Phoenix, that's where our other home is. That is the 11th largest market. So we're in two really great markets. Tallahassee's like 140. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. What that means is that with the consumer money and business money that is being spent together, that's that's what makes the market, and that's what gives you your ranking. New York is the #1 market. California is #2. I think it's actually specifically. I'd have to look, but it's New York City, I believe, which is the #1 DMA market in America, and then you have. I'm wrong on that, but it's something New York. It may be all of New York is the #1, but it's New York Metro, and then you have Los Angeles, which is the #2 market in all of America. So we're really proud to be in the markets we are. The Governor Abbott of Texas had a big announcement about the Texas stock market that's starting up. Blackwater gave $120 million for that startup, and watch what I said when I said to you that watch Bitcoin and watch these other Bitcoins, because BlackRock announced that they didn't say they were backing one of the other Bitcoins, but what they did say was when they did their application for their ETF, they mentioned another Bitcoin. Now, it doesn't matter whether it was BTC, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Cash, or BSV, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. All four of them have the name Bitcoin, which is all that matters. And they all say they are the Bitcoin. So as long as it had that name Bitcoin on it, that's all that mattered. But BlackRock used a different name. They used one of the other coins, one of the other three, other than BTC, which is the main Bitcoin. Now, when they were asked, now all this has been scrubbed. You can't find anything on this. They scrubbed it. We did save a couple of articles, but they did say that they weren't ready to say which Bitcoin they're going to back. But if they back, they're part of the New Texas Stock Exchange, and they own 88% of all the 500 companies on the Future 500. So what does that say? Yeah. It's interesting. Okay. So that's why being in Texas, being in that market. By the way, Dallas is number 5. It's the number 5 DMA. Houston number 6. Dallas is number 5 direct marketing area in all the United States. So, and by the way, San Antonio is, I think, number 28. Austin's 49. So we're really proud of where we're at and what we're doing here in the TV business, and we're bringing on some new partners, some anchors. We got some some guys that are coming on that are going to be talking about the infinite banking concepts. Okay, and that's going to be really exciting. I encourage everybody to vote. You know, I talk a lot of smack about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but you have to decide who you're going to vote for. We're voting for Trump over here. I'd say if you'd ask me, I'm a common sense kind of guy. I was liberal most of my life, and I've always just liked the person. I liked Jimmy Carter because he was a farmer. I liked Reagan even better because he was an actor and a cowboy. I didn't care too much for the Bushes. Never cared for Bush Sr. or Bush Jr. I did kind of like Bush Jr. because he was an alcoholic. He did get sober. I've been sober longer than him, but he's been sober. Shouldn't have bragged about that, but it is what it is. And I like the Clintons because anybody that gets a BJ, anybody who gets head in the Oval Office is my hero. And listen, guys, I don't care if you like, come on, cut it out. But it is what it is. At my age, I just don't care about what people think about me. And, I do have a harsh tongue. So, it can be tough to listen to sometimes. But I was a big fan of Bill Clinton, never a fan of his wife's. And I could see why he'd want to mess around because, geez, could you imagine living with that thing? All right, anyway. Was never a fan of Obama. I thought and this is coming from a person of color, I thought he was a joke as a president of color. I thought he was a joke, and I wasn't a big fan of his. Big fan of Trump's. I like Trump because he's tough. He was a tough guy, and this time around he got shot. Wow. I wasn't a big fan of Joe Biden because I just think he was a little weird. Yeah. Anyway, I guess we're going to see, right, what happens in this election here. I'm definitely not a fan of Kamala Harris. She's not black. She's white. She's white. Candace Owens is doing, and some others are doing great research on her family, her own dad, her own uncle, her own cousins. You know, they all come from they're white Jamaicans. They lived in Jamaica. They were slave owners. You know, all you black people out there getting their panties all in an uproar right this minute, you ought to be mad. You ought to be mad at her because she's not black. She's white and she's Indian. Facts don't care about your feelings. I was with the guy, he about flipped his lid when I said that the other day, and I'm like, facts don't care about your feelings, bro. Seriously, she's not black. Like, you ought to be upset. As a brown person, I'm upset. Not really, because this is what politicians do. They lie, but she's not black. She's white, and she's Indian. She has not 1 ounce of black in her. Not one. Anyway, it is what it is. Things are getting exciting. And I guess we're going to see what happens. If you're looking for some credit, go to smartmoneyculture.tv/credit. Sign up today. And, let's see if we can help you with some credit, some business credit. It's not that hard to get. The average person gets somewhere around 50,000 to 300,000. Typically takes a week or two to get it. But those of you who have bad credit, who have no income, you're not getting it. Okay, don't think you can. We're not loaning money out. It's a credit business, credit stacking business, where we can help you get it. But the average person who has no income, by the way, that doesn't matter. If you have bad credit, you're not getting it. Now, we have a program for you. It's not credit repair, but we do have a program for you so that 90 days, 6 months, a year down the road, you can put yourself in a position to get it. Okay? But if you have bad credit, you're not getting it. So don't think you can. I talked to 2 people this week and just said, well, I'm like, but you're in delusion. One guy sold his house. I talked to 2 people this last week that sold their house because I don't want the debt. I mean, your house is your bank. Anyway, Fly Mackey, thanks for joining us tonight. God bless you all. We'll see you soon. Have a great night. Go to smartmoneyculture.tv.